Today's the day. I'm pretty excited. So I've been trying to buy this car for over a year. It's been my fault, not theirs, that it's taken a year. But today's the day. Luke will be here in just a moment. I'm gonna go get this thing. Today's the day, Luke.
Today is the day.
So we've made it. Now we were here a little over a year ago, but there's a DeSoto here that I really like. I love old shit. Look at this thing. How cool is that? We were getting a Golf from the paddock over there, and I noticed a DeSoto in the shed and got very distracted. And for the last 12 months, I've been thinking about this DeSoto. So we're going to dig this thing out. It's been here for 35 years. It's not moved a centimetre. So from what I can find out, this is a 1951 or 1952 DeSoto Diplomat. And this was someone's car. They had it about 35 years ago. They pulled it in here. The rego ran it in 1990. And they pulled the motor apart to do some repairs. And this is where it's sat.
I believe it's one owner too.
Really?
Yeah, I think Nola's dad bought it new.
So Nola's dad bought it new, and then it was Nola's partner was fixing it.
Yeah.
And then, so Nola is Luke's stepmom. So this could be a one owner thing from Nola's dad. And then, yeah, it got pulled apart in 1990 to have the engine fixed, which is not even in there. So here is what's left of the engine, but the block is trash. So there's another car that comes with this, the parts car, but we're not sure if that's even the correct parts, but we'll see. So we're going to dig this thing out and we're going to put it on your truck and take it home. So I started a time lapse and it immediately overheated my phone. So Luke's backed up here. We've got the DeSoto mostly dug out. So now we're going to run a winch underneath the front of it and pull this thing into the sunlight for the first time in 35 years. I'm so excited. So I tried to time lapse getting this thing onto the truck, but my phone is overheating. It's already like 30 degrees today or something, but the phone's just not loving it in the sun. But here is the first real look at this DeSoto, and boy does it look good. There's a little bit of rust just here, and that's about it. We can't really see any more. I'm so excited. This thing's sick. It's missing a tail light, but I know there's some stuff in the boot, so I'll have to have a look through that later. We're going to come back for the bonnet because that's actually separate, and the front seat is also separate, which we'll come back for this afternoon when it cools down a bit. But we're going to go and give this thing a pressure wash at home. God, it looks so good. Driver's door doesn't latch, so we'll have to tie that up as well. God, that's a cool car. Oh, I'm so excited. So we're going to get this thing unloaded, and then I'm going to wash the dirt off of it, and then this afternoon we're going to go back for the other one, the parts car. What a cool rig. Luke will be leaving in just a moment, and I'll start washing this thing. That's what 35 plus years of dirt and grime looks like. This thing's so straight, and there's not much rust at all. I'm so excited. And the bonnet is excellent, but you guys won't see that for a little bit. You'll see that this afternoon. Look how good it is. It's time to give this thing a good wash. So I'll chuck you guys on time lapse and we'll get into it. Probably tell how cool this thing is right now, but it's so much better. It's in such good condition, I'm super surprised. I thought there would be some hidden surprises under the dirt, and there might be, but so far so good. So I'll open it up and I'll empty out the boot and I'll empty out the car, get all the bits and pieces out of it and give it a wash on the inside because it is so filthy. It's full of rat poops and assorted junk. So I'll just keep working on cleaning this thing up. That was pretty awesome. I got the radiator, I assume it's for this car. Got some full moon cap type of things. Got some dog dish ones, which are the original ones that say DeSoto on them. Hopefully you can read that, it's pretty light pressing. Got I assume that's off the boot, which has been smoothed off previously. And a pair of spats, which is pretty cool, because I was actually going to make some of those if it didn't come with them. So let's jump into the inside and pull out what's in there. It's all cleared out. We've got 3 of the 4 seat pieces. The 4th one is still at Nola's house, which we'll go back for this afternoon. Got a pair of Beetle side windows and a rear window out of a Beetle, I assume. And maybe a door glass out of a Beetle as well. We've got what looks like all of the chrome, which has all been deleted off this thing because it was pretty hot rodded back in the day. The dash surround, which I was hoping to find. We've got this panel, which I assume is from the engine bay. I'll have to work that out later. And then more importantly, or most importantly, we have the badge from the steering wheel, which is super cool. So I can put the steering wheel all back together, which is super awesome. It's one of the things I was really hoping to find in here. But overall, it's in excellent condition. It's been a mouse hotel for a few years, but I'll give it a good blowout and it should come up excellent. There's a little bit of rust in one of the panels over there, one of the trims, but there's nothing actually in the body that I can see, so I'm super happy with this so far. So a quick Google tells me that this is a Ford stud pattern car, which is the same as all the Toyotas and stuff. So I can go get some wheels that I've got, chuck them on here and they'll hold air, because these ones I have very little faith in. So I'm going to jack them up and chuck some wheels on and then roll this thing forwards, clean the concrete that I just messed up, and then I can roll this thing backwards and give it another clean. So I'm on the driver's side here and I've got the wheel nuts, wheel bolts undone. These have an R on the end of them. So I imagine the other side has an L on it. So they're left and right thread, which is quite interesting. I guess this is the right period for it. So we'll get this off, see if we can get these Falcon wheels on. Just having a look at the suspension here. It is double A-arm, which is not super surprising. Coil lever spring separate, or coil spring, sorry. You got your upright, and then it's actually got a shock on it. I expected it to have friction shocks, but it doesn't, so that's kind of cool. None of that is going to stay on it, but it's cool to see. And then we've got a finned drum, or a ribbed drum. So the wheels I have don't fit without spacers, which is fine for now, but the spacers can't be done up properly. So I'm going to have to do them up with my fingers, and then just ignore it for a little bit, because this is just to roll it around on, so it'll be okay. So we went from a 215 75/15 to a 215 60/15. So these are a bit smaller, but it'll be fine for rolling it around. So over on the passenger side, as I expected, these are lefty tidy. So I'll get these ones off and put the tyre on. So giving it a quick hose over with the hose. I'm going to get the pressure cleaner out in a minute and give it another go. But it does look kind of funny on the Falcon Steelies because they're pretty small, really, compared to what was on this. Given that it had 15s, you'd think the 16s would be fine, but the tyre is just so much bigger. So I'm going to get the pressure washer out and give this another hose down and the driveway. This thing is in unreal condition. So I'll just give it a wash, giving it a bit of a scrub, bit of a soap, and it's so much better. It's still a bit stinky, but that's alright, we can deal with that. But there's no rust inside. There's a little bit of like surface where the paint's rubbed through, but there's no holes whatsoever that I can see anyway. I thought there was a bit of rust in this rail, in this sill panel, but there's nothing. It's just a bit of surface, and then the bits that I thought were really bad are actually for the chrome trim to clip onto. This door doesn't shut properly, doesn't latch shut, so I'll have to fix that pretty soon. And I'll probably fix that hole because it looks a bit wonky, and then get the chromes back on there. Coming around to the back, it's all in mint condition. And then in here you've got all the floor for the boot, which is all perfect as well. The fuel tank is going to have to go, and that spare wheel well is going to have to go as well. That'll clear up the boot a whole lot. I don't want to tell you guys exactly what I'm doing with it just yet, but I know those things are going to have to go. The door cards are in good enough condition, and the roof lining needs to get fixed, but other than that, it's unreal. And then there was a little bit of rust just there. That's the only bit I've found so far. So just a little bit of attention to the sills and a bit of a quick paint up. Fix that door. It's pretty much mint. I'm so excited. This thing's wicked. And yeah, last time it was registered, December 1990. Very, very cool. Need keys. That's another thing that's going to have to happen, but that can wait. I really wish we grabbed the bonnet earlier now. Still going back this afternoon to get the rest of the bits and the other one. But this is so good. So I've left this to dry out for a couple of hours. It's still dripping. It's a whole lot better than it was. Needs another 50 cleans, I imagine, but it looks so good. Alright, so what I need to do is get it back there on the gravel and then clean this driveway. Clean all the parts up. Luke will be here in about 20 minutes. We're going back for the second DeSoto. So we're back up at Nola's house. Here is the second car. So this one's obviously a different grille and a different model. Still a Chrysler product, so it's pretty well the same. Just be a Plymouth or a Dodge. No tail lights, which sucks, but it does have most of the door handles and stuff. So this comes with it regardless whether I want it or not, and I can guarantee this thing's going to be for sale pretty soon. The dash is different. It's got a seat frame in it. The door handles and everything look pretty similar, but she's rotten, real rotten. And then the reason he bought this one was for the engine, and then for some reason he stopped because apparently they're different. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's why it was here. And worst case is it's very cool for like a front car or something for lawn art. But there's not a whole lot of usable stuff on here. I didn't realise we were going quickly. That'll do. So we got the snatch strap stuck under the car, and now we're going to try and rip it out. And my phone's about to go flat, so we'll see. Oh, destroyed. So I went back and got the bonnet today, and it's full of louvers because this thing was pretty hot rodded back in the day, and I think it looks pretty good. Most of the structure's cut out, which kind of sucks, but it'll be fine. And then we also got that one back yesterday, but my phone went flat, so I couldn't record anything once we got back in the dark anyway. So I'm going to have to cut this thing up, keep some bits off of it, and then they can go to scrap. then we can finally start working on the black one. As you can imagine, this Plymouth's pretty bad shape, but I'm hoping I can get a few little spares here and there. But I don't know what it's actually going to be good for at this stage. There's not a whole lot left of it. So I'm just doing a quick bit of dismantling while I've got about an hour. This whole section here, I did more peeling than I have cutting. It's that rusty. So I'll see if the seat's even bolted in and see if I can get the front half of the floor out as well. There's a little more holding it in than I thought, but not much. So that's the whole middle section of the car gone. And there's not much holding either end on. But the chassis is nice and thick and looks like it's pretty solid still, so that's awesome. I'll have to cut these mounts off because they're the bolts are all rounded and rusted together, but that's pretty good really. It's going to be perfect for what I need. To try and speed this up a bit, I've cut the rear chrome trim off. All the bolts are rusted, so I'll deal with that later. Got the hinges off here. They were pretty much not attached as well, so I might keep those, I'm not too sure yet. I'll just keep them aside for now. And then I've got the car chopped down a fair bit, but even like here, I was going to cut this piece that goes over the diff out, and it's pretty much cut all the way through with rust. So it's pretty solid. It's good, good investment, this one. This is going so smoothly. I keep forgetting to pick up the camera. So these quarters were not held on with anything. They're just rotten through where the body mounts were. So once I cut it in half, they just flopped basically, so they're off now. The fuel tank and boot floor is there. Fuel tank has heaps of holes in it, so that's no good. But that is the back, like 3/4 of the car disassembled, and I can see the chassis and clean it up a bit. So I might pick this junk up with the forklift and then clean a bit and then start on the front tomorrow or the next day. I feel like at this stage my catchphrase should just be, I got on with it, and here we are. So I've just been chopping away, took all that front end out, took the motor out. The dash is attached to the steering column, so I'll leave that for now. Both of those have to come out anyway. But for right now, that'll do. So I'm just gonna give it a hose off, clean up the chassis as much as I can for right this second, and then I'm gonna clean all of that mess. It's been probably 2 hours of cleaning up. Just moved some stuff and swept a whole bunch and then washed it down. Found an entire rat in that seat. It's rock hard. It's been there for probably 20 years, but it's all coming together. So Dale's coming over soon. We're going to try and chuck the bonnet on the other car, and then I'll call it for this episode. One little pile to sort through, and then I just got to clean up those panels. But most of the work is done now. The tail shaft's unbolted, but I actually can't get it off the diff, so I'll have to get a hammer and maybe a pry bar, and then the steering I will need to disconnect as well. But I'm out of time for today. We'll put this bonnet on and then see how that looks. So Dale's been and gone already, but we got the bonnet on and it fits so well. It's a little bit more faded than the rest of the car, but that doesn't really matter. I reckon I'll get this thing polished up at some point and try and get that bonnet to fit properly, because it's just sort of slapped on for now, but you can see how it looks. It's awesome. And it comes forwards before dipping down so much, so there's so much engine bay room, and especially engine bay height. So lots of room for opportunities and shenanigans. What a cool looking car. So that brings us to the end of this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed the DeSoto and the barn find. I'm super excited with this car. It's in so much better condition than I expected. So we'll be starting a build on this shortly. So if you would like to see that, feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.